we get to the top, hopefully drop you to your heart so that you like what we say. It's a setup, okay? It's a divine setup. But, you know, when we talk about love, it drops to my heart because, you know, that is all there really is, but it just doesn't feel like it all the time. You know, the difference is when we're not here, we're up here, and it's like we turn on the TV and it doesn't feel like love, or when we have all of these stuff going on in relationships, it just doesn't feel like love. But the truth is, at the very core of it, it is all love. So I believe it, but I think it's a challenge to live it all the time, you know, and so we're talking about being divine beings, having that God peace in us, and we're talking about being human. So we're talking about mixing it all up. You know, it's not as easy as when I grew up in the traditional church where you got the good guy up there and you got your miserable sinner down here, right? There was kind of this dichotomy, you know, and it was like, okay, at least you knew your spot, you know. It's like, okay, you were the sinner and you prayed, and it's, you know, there's heaven, there's divine, and then this is human. It's all different, you know, but now we're kind of mingling it, you know, and now we're a little bit both divine and we're a little bit both human. You know, what's that look like? And I thought of Hafiz. He's a 13th century poet, kind of like Rumi was. He's in the same era there. And what he said is that we are divine elephants with amnesia trying to fit into an anthole. I get that. You know, we're big spirits. We're big spirits. And we're stuck kind of in a world that we're trying to make sense out of. We're trying to figure it all out. You know, we're not fitting, we're out of place at times until we can really drop to the heart and know that it's all love, that it's all beautiful. So you know, I was thinking about the difference between when I was, you know, growing up and I was in a traditional church, a Bible Baptist church, and, you know, I knew God up there with the beard, you know, and I was down here and I had to be good, and I looked at the creation story of Adam and Eve, and then as I don't know, I don't want to say evolved, but as I expanded a little bit my awareness, I looked at all the creation stories, you know, and they have creation stories in every tradition. And one of my favorites, and it's just I'm kind of just going to throw it out there, I don't know exactly what it says, but it's something, it goes like, it's called the shattering of the vessels, right? And it's a Kabbalah story. It's a old Jewish tradition. And what they talk about is that there was this vessel that was so filled with love. Now I get this. This resonates with me more than the Adam and Eve story, more than the 7 days of creation. And I'll tell you why, because there's a little bit of science in it and stuff too. And, you know, it doesn't disregard the Big Bang and stuff like that. So what they say is there was the shattering of the vessel, that there was this brilliant, just all loving light and love everywhere, and it was so intense that it streamed into this vessel. Now, I got to thinking about that, this love that is so intense. Have you ever felt that? And I'm thinking about my little babies, and sometimes you just go like this, right? Have you ever felt that kind of love? It's just like okay, so it's so big that it bursts. That's what this story's about. That this love was so big that it just burst and it shattered all over. And see, and actually, they're doing these, you know, studies and things, and part of that was the Big Bang. Anyway, and it shattered all over the universe, and these shards went all over the place, these dark shards that were filled with light. And the whole idea of this creation story is that we are those shards, right? Those are our souls, and we're dark because we've got human in us, and we've got light in us. We're trying to get to the light. We're trying to shed light on our darkness so that we can bring it back to source. See? Because when it shattered, part of it went back to source, God. See, basically what it's saying is God or love, because it's the same thing. Love shattered because it loves so much, and we're part of that love. But see, we're part of the darkness too, because as we enter Earth, we got into the levels of darkness. And that's kind of how humanity and divinity, the stories go. In all of the traditions, many of them, not all of them, but a lot of the mystical traditions. Even the Christian mystical tradition talks about that we are divine, that we are divine beings. See, in a strange way, which I kind of love it, is that it's retracing the philosophical steps taken by the Kabbalists over 400 years ago. You know, the Big Bang, I mean, my gosh, you know, so there's some kind of comfort there, that it's not just some wild story. I mean, you know, I might have embellished a little bit on that love thing, but I think that that's true. You know, I think it's true. That what they said is that we are these unique beings. Now here's what I want to really get across this morning in my talk, is that we are unique shards, right? Unique shards with light in it. We all have the same light, but we are unique beings that are evolving towards love, towards God, uniquely. We are unique beings. And what the Kabbalists and many of the wisdom traditions say is that we have an individualized, it's called tikkun. Tikkun. Judy has talked about tikkun before. And it's what tikkun is an obligation and a privilege to reveal the spark in you and bring it in your unique expression to the world. Unique, see? Everybody doesn't bring. It's not like, before I thought about it as we just all go to the one, you know, and then there's just this oneness where we're all the same. The truth is that our oneness is unique, right? We have a unique spark. Your spark isn't the same as Phil's, Ruth Ann. It's a different spark. So no matter how enlightened everybody gets, you still have a uniqueness. And that's what our obligation is to find that uniqueness, that gift that we are, and bring it. Bring it to the world and shine light on the world. And that's how our divinity and humanity kind of get mixed up, you know? And how do we do it? You know, how do we work on our, see, tikkun means to fix. I don't like usually to fix, because it sounds like we're going to fix people, but that's what it means. It's to fix not just the world, but to fix ourselves so that we can be the light. See? You got to fix, you got to work what's in here. Bring the light to what's in here so you can go share it out to the world. And sometimes we're out in the world trying to fix it before we're together here. And so that's what spiritual practice is about. It's about being whole within us, bringing our tikkun to life so that we can share it with the world. And then it becomes tikkun olam, right? That's, olam means the world. You're bringing your unique gift to the world. It's love and being loved. Now I want to talk about how you do that. So love is all there is. I don't feel love. You know, the truth is, you know what love is? It's a verb. Love is a verb. It's not an emotion. I mean, maybe it's that too, but it's a verb. It's a verb that says to. It's to see, to perceive. So when you love, you see the true nature of things. You see with God's eyes. You see with love. Everything. And that's what our whole evolution is about. Our whole evolution is about this journey to love. About expanding ourselves bigger and bigger and bigger until we're filled with so much light and so much love that we just walk and ooze love. Sounds sickening, doesn't it? But the truth is, it's so beautiful. I know, I can see some of you going, oh, you know. But the truth is that it isn't. That's who you are. That's who you are. And remember, love is to perceive, So to see the true nature in each other, to see with God's eyes, is to see. And I was thinking about how that looks. We all see through God's eyes uniquely, right? Just because we all are one, and we're one at the core, we see through God's eyes. God needs us to see through our unique eyes. And I'm thinking how that looked, and I remember this week Jamie came in, and if you don't mind me, you know, just saying, you know, kind of late now, isn't it? to ask you. But you know, basically, she was working on a project, and she said, "Well, how do you see me? You know, how I need to know how you see me." And I got to thinking, both Judy and I, of course, we both came up with different things that we saw in her, but they were both things that we saw through God's eyes, and they were different. They were different. But see, that's what I'm saying, that God shows up different in Judy, but she sees, and God shows up different in me. We each saw different qualities. You know, there was brilliance and light and love and harmony. I don't know, there was a lot of stuff, but it was all different from each one of us because we're unique beings. So see, God sees through each of our eyes differently, and that's why we're unique. You know, that's the beauty and the intelligence of this idea of love. So to be loved is to be seen by God's eyes. So when you're really loved by somebody, they see you through God's eyes, right? Because they become God. Do you know what I mean? To be seen. I think that's the most beautiful thing in the world. When you feel really loved in your life, when you feel really loved, it's because you're seen by somebody who sees your true nature. They don't just see your ego stuff, your gorgeous beauty. Maybe they see that too on the outside. But what they know to be the truth is your true nature. It's seeing. That's love to see. Love to be perceived. So if you take anything away, know that you can go out of here and see with God's eyes when you are in that space of love. So how do we love God? When I was a kid, you remember, how many of you grew up in the Christian tradition, in a traditional way? Okay, so I remember sitting down as a little kid, and it was like we had to love God with all our soul, all our heart, all our mind, and all our strength. And then to love our neighbor. And I could buy love our neighbor, okay? But I had a hard time when I couldn't even see God to love him. I can remember laying there at night. And if I had questions, it's like, don't ask. Don't ask. We don't know, so don't ask. God's there. Just trust. Have faith, And it was hard for me. It was really hard. And so I read this, and I am beginning to understand how we really love God. How do we love God? The answer is that we let God see with our eyes. That's how we love God. We let God see with our eyes. We fill ourselves up with the power and the glory of love inside of us, and God sees because God's there, because we're God. Does that make sense? We let God see with our eyes. So everything that we see. So when I'm sitting here and this music is going, and it's beautiful, Robert, and it was just felt so good. And I look out, I'm filled with love, and I'm seeing them with God's eyes. Now when I'm upset and I'm going, oh, the music stinks, and not that it ever stinks, but when I'm not there, that I'm not seeing with God's eyes is what I'm saying, So perception creates reality. And now, of course, the new physics is showing that. The way we see things is the way that it's created, and we're the creators. So there's three, I wanted to get this, there's three kinds of friends, and I love this because this pertains to all of us. There's friends that see you the way you are. There's extraordinary friends that see you the way that you can be, but in the presence of the highest friend, you already are. You already are. See, Judy, you already are. You already are. Every one of you already are. If we see you with eyes of the soul, eyes of God. And when you can't see it for yourself, guess what? Somebody that sees through God's eyes can see it for you. That's why we need support. That's why we need each other, because we all can't see through God's eyes all the time. We all can't come together and see everything perfectly all the time. So we need each other. We need friends on the path that hold the consciousness, that can see it for you when you can't see it for yourself. And important to all of this is self-love, Till we can love ourselves, we can't love out there, our unique self. See, you hold the secret to what love is. And when you see yourself as love, you see others in love. You are the personal face of God. Don't you love that? I mean, honestly, when you look at somebody, you're looking at God. You're looking at God manifested in their unique way. To me, it's everyone you see. The beggar in the street, is God manifested differently. That's how you perceive. That's how we change the world. God's love signature is written all over your unique self. Doesn't that sound beautiful? I love that. That was part of Mark Gaffney. He wrote in The Unique Self, he says that you are a poem and a song that God wrote. Each one of us, a unique one. And your life is that. See, you are God having a Hannah experience. Right? You are God having a Sandy experience. Each one of you say that. You are God having your own experience. Having your own experience as God in the world. That's where your human and your divine come together. When we can see through the eyes of our unique self, our love is large enough then to even hold our shadow, because we all have the shadows. We all have the darkness in it. And the darkness isn't the evil like it was when I was a kid, and then here's the God. Yeah, there's darkness in the world, but when we hold the love, we hold a container big enough, a space big enough to hold that shadow and shine light on it, to let it disappear, to bring it to the light, to transform us. We create a holding container for our shadow. Just remember, the more that we see love, the more that we are love, we hold ourselves in a container. And when we do it for ourselves, we can do it for each other. It all starts with us. So, as I close, Remember that you are being God in the world right now. Everything that you do, everything that you say. When we realize it, when we go inside and we know that we are more than we ever thought we could be. We are powerful beyond measure. We are. You know, we're these incredible light beings that can do anything if we can see it, if we can perceive it, and even the new physics is telling us that. So as we grow in consciousness, we grow in love, and we grow in God. Remember that. As we grow in consciousness, we grow in God, and we grow in love. And as we do, we bring more healing to ourselves, and we bring more healing into the world. So my prayer, as always, is that we express our divinity and we embrace that incredible human that we are. Thank you.